Good morning and welcome to Thursday's free racing tips video. Hope you're all doing well. First of all, I'd like to just apologise. I've got a bit of stinking cold at the moment, so if I suddenly need to take a break to sneeze or something like that, I do apologise. But hopefully that's not coming across too much in the video and you can still understand me okay. But yeah, welcome along to the video. Actually, it's not the best day's racing in my opinion today. I think it's almost a little bit of a warm up, or you've got Future Champions Day and then Champions Day on Friday and Saturday, and I think maybe Thursday's racing has taken a hit because of that quality. I think it's okay, but it's not the best by any stretch of the imagination. It's actually the jumps that take centre stage today, really, with 3 meetings over the jumps. They're from Uttoxeter, Punchestown and Wincanton, and there's just the 2 flat meetings which come at Brighton this afternoon and then at Wolverhampton under the floodlights on the Tapeta surface this evening. So we'll take a look at yesterday's tips, to begin with, and then we'll go through again some of today's racing. We'll then talk about our little earner and our premium tip for the day, and then just mention any sort of racing news or big races coming up in the next few days. So after an excellent day on Tuesday, things didn't quite happen for us yesterday. The little earner was a non-runner, so those of you that backed that, you'd have got your money back, and it would have just been a no-lose situation, really. You'd have got your money back and can use that for today's little earner, I'm sure. So that was a bit frustrating. It was a non-runner because I was feeling fairly confident that that could do the business. The premium tip, in all honesty, it should have won, to be honest. Was back from 7 to 4 all the way into 4 to 7 on. But then it never really looked likely, and I'm really not one for criticising jockeys, but what I will say is that I think if William Buick was given the chance to ride that race again, he might just do things a little differently. I think probably if he rode the race again, he'd win. I think he was probably on the best horse, but I think was actually a bit outsmarted by Ryan Moore in the end. And when he went for the gaps on the horse, they just didn't appear. And perhaps I think sometimes when you're on an odds-on shot, my personal opinion, I just like to see them go from the front, unless it's a trait that they really, really don't like. If they really don't like going from the front, maybe like for an example, a Soul Power or something like that, it's going to be played late, and you do take the risks that those gaps won't appear. But I think in a race like this, just go from the front, or at least make sure that you don't get a trouble passage. If you have to go a bit out wide, if you're on the odds-on shot, if you're on the best horse in the race, you should still manage to take all the beating, even if coming from out wide. But that's what happens in races. These horses and jockeys, they're animals, they're humans, they're not machines, and sometimes just things don't quite go the way we want them to. But that's the way racing goes. And as I say, I'm not one for criticizing jockeys. They do a lot more good than they do bad, and they do take some serious risks so we can enjoy this sport. So certainly not worth criticizing them, especially when a rider like William Buick has provided us with so many great moments this year. So yeah, as I say, a decent day. Not the most decent day, but just depending on what you like. My personal opinion is not the best in terms of quality, but I'm sure plenty of you are looking forward to the racing from Uttoxeter, Wincanton, Punchestown, Brighton and Wolverhampton. So we'll get in with the tips now, and we'll start off by looking at the little earner, which goes in the 6 o'clock at Wolverhampton. So that's on the Tapeta surface this evening. It'll be 6 o'clock and the floodlights will be needed. That just shows you that the night is drawing in a bit. And our tip here is Escalating, and this is holding its place quite well in the market. Was 8 to 1 when tipped up to the Gold members this morning. Of course, as you know, Gold members got their tips a couple of hours ago now. But the little earner has, as I say, remained fairly steady in the market and is still an 8 to 1 shot at the moment. Now, this horse actually won 2 races at the start of the season, one of those being on the poly track. So clearly, although this is a Tapeta surface, I think the poly track is quite a good all-weather marker, and I think the Tapeta's riding really well, and those that do like the all-weather surface do enjoy the Tapeta. I think could go really close. Again today, this horse dropping in class, no doubt about that. Was actually in a Group 3 last time out and was outclassed on that day, no doubt about that. But this is a nursery. It's not anywhere near that kind of quality. I think the horse has shown qualities in the past, does come here off top weight, but that's for a reason, because probably on paper it's the best horse in the race. And I just think could be the class act here and does look to be fairly decent value in the market. And the 8 to 1 you can get, I'd certainly be having a bit each way on that. That's the little earner there in the 6 o'clock at Wolverhampton. We move on to the premium tip today, which goes over the jumps at Uttoxeter. That goes in the 4 o'clock at Uttoxeter. Gold members, you would have got this a couple of hours ago, as you know, and it's Straits of Messina, and that was a 9-4 shot when first tipped up this morning, and now is currently at 2-1. So a little bit of support in the market, and 9-4, 2-1 doesn't sound like a big difference, but if you constantly manage to get that extra sort of quarter of a point each day, you'll see your returns really go up in the long run. So just shows a little bit of an advantage of being a gold member there as well. Just getting 9-4 instead of 2-1. It's just all about hunting for that extra bit of value in this game. And yeah, feeling quite good about today's premium tip. Actually ran for the first time since April last time out and put in a big performance to finish second, and that was behind a much fancied odds-on horse on that day. And considering that was the first run in about 6 months or so, I think there's plenty to take out of that. It's actually due to go up £6 in the handicap mark after that, but remains off the same mark today. So I think could be fairly dangerous off this mark. Could even improve from that previous run, and to be honest, you probably expect a bit of a run. Might have even just needed that last time out as a bit of a freshen up and a bit of a fitness exercise. And I think running for the second time this season now can certainly take the spoils here, and I think just might be that one step ahead of the handicapper at the moment. I think if the horse does go on to win this one, it will then face something like maybe an £11 prize or something like that. Who knows? But I think then you'd say that the handicapper might have a bit of a grip on the horse. But I think for this race, I think it's a really, really smart bit of placing from Connections, and I think that this horse has an excellent chance. We've also got our next best bet and 1 point single today, which are available to the gold members, as you know. I think we've got another really, really well handicapped horse as our next best bet, and you still got time to sign up and to be a gold member and get that next best bet for today if you like. All the links, as you know, are just in the post above. But yeah, I think we've got another really well handicapped next best bet horse that can go in again. And also the 1 point single horse is one that I've been following for a while. That runs at Wincanton, I think has an excellent chance. But yeah, those are the tips that you need to focus on today. Those of you that want the lucky 15, that link is just in the box above as well. So those are the tips for today. Hopefully you can have plenty of them. Any questions or any sort of anything that you really want to raise, any issues or any just general horse racing chat, please do feel free to just pop in the comments box below. And then if we do have those winners, make sure that you send in those winning bet slips so we can see just how you managed to bash the bookies today. Hopefully we can do that going into the weekend. And of course, it is Future Champions Day tomorrow. It's going to be a really it's going to be a testing day in terms of the ground. I don't think there's much doubt about that. But it's the same kind of ground for all these horses, and I don't think it's ideal for many of them, but I think it should still be an excellent day at Newmarket. Just looking at the race, and I think that there's a couple of Group 1s where Estigcar and Ivorwood both run for Richard Hannon. They'll have Paul Hannigan and Richard Hughes on board in different races due to the fact that Estigcar is owned by Sheikh Hamdam Al Maktoum, and Paul Hannigan is the retained rider for that owner. But I think these two are going to be really hard to see past. I think in Estigcar's race, Glen Eagles was joint favourite. That horse has been withdrawn. And Ivorwood, I just think, is one of the star 2-year-olds of the year. He's favourite even for next year's 2,000 Guineas, which shows you just how much the yard think of him and how much he's really shown this year. And I think Ivorwood is going to be really tough to beat, as is Estigcar. And they're both currently at about 10-11. And we're not a big fan of odds-on horses here at Free Racing Tips, but sometimes they're odds on for a reason. If you think they're going to win, then you'd much rather back a 10-11 winner than go hunting for value and back the 4-1 loser. But I actually think there could be a decent bet here and actually whacking those two in a double. The double pays around about 5-2, and all of a sudden you're looking at good value there for two horses that really should win. And for me, that's probably going to be my only bet on the card at the moment anyway. Once the final declarations are out, the ground sorted, and I can really take a look at ratings and things like that, I'll probably have a couple more. But for me at the moment, that Estigcar and Ivorwood double paying around about 5-2 looks to be a fairly good bet. Let me know what you think on that and whether you think that's a decent bet or whether you'd rather be laying that off. And then in the Fillies Mile, where Lucidia is the favourite, there's something I like about Marsh Hawk. I think it could be an excellent day for Richard Hannon, who does actually look like being champion trainer, I believe. And I think that Fillies Mile, I do like the look of Marsh Hawk. I think this horse has something, backed it the last couple of times and was devastated when it was beaten a nose in a Group 3 at Salisbury, but then won really well in testing conditions last time out. And I just think Marsh Hawk might be the one to beat. They're currently about 7-2. And when I did the video a couple of days ago talking about this, I believe the horse was more of a 9-2 shot. So a little bit of a nibble in the market, or that could just be from a couple of horses being withdrawn. But I'd be surprised if that horse goes off at 7-2. I'd expect a bit of money coming for that one, and I wouldn't be surprised to see it maybe around the 5-2 mark come the off time. But who knows? I've thought that before, and a horse has gone off at 5-1. So who knows how that's going to pan out. So that's future Champions Day. We'll look ahead at Champions Day more and more tomorrow. But also a race to keep in your diaries is Sunday. It's the William Hill Hurdle at Kempton, and this is the return of the joint champion hurdle favourite, the New One. This horse, who of course was badly hampered by the tragic fall of Arcona at Cheltenham, and actually came out of the champion hurdle with a lot of credit after that, staying on for third. And many do believe without being hampered that day, the New One might have just managed to get out in front. Who knows? I don't actually think that he would have won it, but I still think that the horse is an excellent one. I'd rather back Faugheen for the champion hurdle right now, but I'm really interested to see how the New One goes. He did a bit of work at I can't remember what track it was now, but it was a few days ago. Did a bit of work. Might have even been at Worcester or something like that. I don't know. That's not important. Maybe Newton Abbot. But then, yeah, New One did a bit of work and looked really well. Is about 1-5 favourite for this one. So not by any stretch of the imagination, and I'm putting this up as a tip. I'm just saying, you know, it's a race to really watch, and just maybe have a little jot down in your notebook as to how the New One looks and where you think he'll go this season. And then maybe you could back him anti-post for something if you really like the look of him, or maybe you could scratch him off your list if you think perhaps he's not quite up to the top level this year. But really looking forward to seeing that. And of course, Sam Twiston-Davies, despite now being Paul Nicholls' stable jockey, he does still keep the ride on the New One. I think that was one thing that he said before taking the job. He needs to stay on the New One. That's his pride and joy. So yeah, that's going to be a decent race to watch. But that's all in a few days' time. For today, let's hope we can have plenty of winners. As I say, don't forget to get in touch by joining in the comments box and sharing your thoughts on any of the day's races. But for today, thank you for watching, and I'll speak to you all a little bit later on. Bye-bye.